Name: Irene. Class: P6. Subject: SS. Globalization. Definition: according to the origin of the word globalization is taken from the word global, which means universal. Ahmad Suparman stated that globalization is a process of making something, object or behavior, a characteristic of every individual in this world without being limited by area. Globalization does not yet have an established definition, except just a working definition, so it depends on which side people see it. Globalization is a process of international integration that occurs because of the exchange of worldviews, products, thoughts, and other cultural aspects. The advancement of transportation and telecommunication infrastructure, including the emergence of the telegraph and the internet, is a major factor in globalization, which increasingly encourages the interdependence of economic and cultural activities. The term globalization has been used more and more frequently since the mid-1980s and more frequently since the mid-1990s. History of globalization. Some theories say that globalization has occurred in the 1500s in several countries. Historians have an opinion that globalization began to develop around the 20th century. In essence, globalization has existed since humans have been familiar with trade between countries. The sign of this globalized trade is the trade of Muslims in Asia and Africa. These Muslims formed trade networks in the regions of Japan, Vietnam, China, Malacca, Indonesia, India, Persia, Venice, the Mediterranean and Genoa. Globalization process. Globalization is basically the idea of certain parties or countries which are then offered to other parties or countries to be followed for certain reasons, so that it becomes a process that continues from time to time. The beginning of the emergence of the globalization process occurred in Europe, quickly spread and developed throughout the world, and most countries in the world opened themselves up to accept globalization. James Petras explained that the globalization process occurs in 3 stages, namely: A. First phase. Globalization has started since the 15th century, along with the growth of capitalism and their expansion abroad. B. Second phase. The second phase of globalization was built in the era of the inter-imperial trade or trade between the colonialists. C. Third phase. In the third stage, globalization enters the international trade phase. There are also stages in the globalization process, including 1. Embryonal stage 1500–1800. 2. Growth stage 1810–1870. 3. Takeoff stage 1870–1920. 4. Stage of hegemony struggle 1920–1960. 5. The uncertainty stage 1960–1990. 6. Global culture stage after 1990. The 6 stages are the result of the scientific and technological revolution. The scientific revolution in all its manifestations has encouraged the expansion of a global culture characterized by high mobility and an unstoppable flow of information. Positive and negative impacts of globalization. A. Positive impact. The positive impact of globalization is that we can learn from the socio-cultural values, way of life, a good mindset, as well as science and technology from other nations that have advanced for our progress and welfare. B. Negative impact. Human resources who are not ready to accept globalization make some people nervous about it. Although some claim that globalization originated in the modern era, some other experts trace the history of globalization to before the time of European discovery and voyages to the New World. There are 3 main classifications of globalization for the A-level politics student: political, social and economic. Globalization in simple words. Globalization means the speed up of movements and exchanges of human beings, goods, and services, capital, technologies or cultural practices all over the planet.